Mike with Mike's Bags. Today I'm reviewing the Alpha by WTF Cornhole. Let's go and dive in, break these bags down. We'll start with materials. Slow side is that herringbone carpet that's probably the most popular herringbone carpet out there. It's the same slow side you find on the BG Wizard, the B3 Fatal Prime, Southwest Capo, the Swag Bags, Maniac, the Ninja Street. Yeah, I could go on and on. The Buffalo, Fallout X, and Fury use it. It's a very popular material. If you've thrown a bag with herringbone, more than likely this is what you've thrown on there. Speed-wise, I call it a 5-speed, but every time I review this, I talk about how you can manipulate the speed. Brand new, it's going to play faster, 5.5 to 6. If you get it dirty, you rough it up, really break it in, really fuzz this material up, it'll slow down to like a 4 or 4.5 speed. Most people, normal conditions, it's going to stay about a 5, but again, you can manipulate that. So 5-speed on the slow side. Fast side, this material, I call it an 8.5 speed. It's fast, it's great for pushing, collecting, cleaning up messes, slides out the board in any conditions whatsoever. So you're looking about a 5, 8.5 speed on these Alphas here. Template-wise, this is a medium template bag, and in my past, I've thrown a few WTF bags. They tend to run on the smaller side of me. This is probably the first one I've thrown that's more of that right down that middle medium template. I like the template of this bag, I really do. It's a medium amount of fill in here, but it's actually it's got a decent amount of flop to it for not being a floppy bag. Like this bag has a fair amount of flop, and the fill in here, WTF calls it a mixed fill, and I think it's a mixture of flat fills. I don't feel any round beads in this at all whatsoever. I feel some flat disc, and I feel some of the thicker flat fill. It's a really small, fine fill in here, which gives the bag an incredible hand feel. When I got these bags were loaned to me, so I got them used. They were already broken. I didn't know what they felt like new. When I picked them up, the first thing I noticed was the hand feel. These things are probably one of the best feeling bags I've thrown. They have a super soft, almost like a pillowy soft hand feel to it. So if hand feel is important to you, you're going to love the way these Alphas feel in the hand. The fill in here is a very forgiving fill along with that flop. It really helps take away the kick. One of the knocks of this herringbone material is that it does have a kick to it. If you don't throw flat, it's going to kick on you. And honestly, if you don't throw a flat bag, you probably shouldn't be looking for a herringbone carpet bag. However, this Alpha is probably the exception to that, where because it's got that flat feel and it's got enough flop, it lands fairly soft with not a lot of kick to it. Now, that does mean the bag doesn't have as much shot shaping abilities. Cuts, it will cut, not great. You're not making those harsh, aggressive cuts like I typically would like to make with this material. You can still make some cuts, subtle cuts with it, you can get around, so you have that. You can roll and flop it, but again, it doesn't have that bouncy, active feel. It's a very soft, forgiving feel. So you've got to be on that above average to advanced level to really roll and flop this bag as well. Not the best for shot shaping if you're average to below average in those skills. Forgiveness around the hole, this is where I think the bag around the hole, the fill, and this material, herringbone, is not hole friendly. It just isn't. I read it, I say it all the time, and it's not just this bag. Any bag that you throw with herringbone is not hole friendly. It has a lot of control to it. It wants to stick, it wants to hang up. And when you add in this flat fill, this mixture of flat fills in here, this bag does have a tendency to want to hang on the hole. I found that was probably one of my biggest issues with this bag, was it just tended to want to hang on the hole. Bags that I felt like should have dripped in, didn't drip in. Bags that were hanging that I thought my next bag should have collected, they didn't collect, they stayed there. I had to really go after. You have to be more aggressive. If there's a bag up there hanging at the hole, you've got to be aggressive and go after that bag. You can't just assume the next bag coming down is going to take it in, because more likely it probably won't. So just keep that in mind if you're throwing these bags and you leave bags on the side or around the hole, to be a little bit more aggressive, to go after it, to take them in for you. The other thing I'll mention too, it's something that WTF does, is this seam. They do this embroidered seam. It's kind of cool. I've talked about it before. I don't really know of any benefit to it. I don't think there is a benefit to it. It's just kind of a cool, it stands out, identifies their bags. One thing I've noticed over the time of throwing these is what I think, and I'm just speculating here in my experience of throwing this bag, but I found that this seam actually makes these seams stiffer. So bags aren't as forgiving. Like, you don't get that drip, right? Because there's more fabric, there's more thread here. It's a stiffer, thicker seam. This bag should drip down, but because it has that seam, it doesn't do that as much, right? You can see here how that bag sticks out. It doesn't go down. You take a bag, I've got my Southwest Capos here, another herringbone carpet bag as well. And when that bag sets out, you get this bag just drips down naturally, right? It just wants to drip down. When you take these Alphas, they don't want to do that. And I think a lot of it is because you've got this thicker seam all around the bag. And honestly, again, it's more for show than it is for performance, that I really feel like if you took that away, I think the bag would do a better job, or be a little more forgiving around the hole. Where I really notice it is around the hole, where if I miss my mark and I'm off left or right, bags with flop tend to grab that hole and pull it back in. But because this corner doesn't dip in like a traditional bag would, or a bag without that embroidered seam, it actually tends to want to kind of hop over the hole and miss it, which makes the bag, you have to be more precise, more accurate in your throw. It's not as forgiving at grabbing the hole. So I talk about that rectangular box, that landing zone. This has a smaller than normal landing zone for putting the bag in the hole. So you've got to be really accurate with your throw in this bag. And so it can be very frustrating for those of you who maybe accuracy is an issue, which is probably my biggest weakness is accuracy. I can be a little off left or right in my throw, and I like bags a little more forgiving, and I found that this wasn't as forgiving as I wanted. And then even when it did grab that hole, it kind of wanted to sit there. It didn't want to pull it and drip back in. I didn't get a lot of that drippiness, and that's more to that herringbone carpet and the fill in there as well. These bags are ACL stand for 2024. So if you play ACL, you can throw these alphas. Let's go ahead and jump in and talk a little more about playability on this bag. And for me, this herringbone carpet, one of the beauties of it is it's very versatile. That's why people love it. That's why I see a lot of bag companies use it. A lot of players throw it. It's one of my favorite materials. I love throwing herringbone. But when I throw herringbone, I want to play more of a control game. I'm looking to get up there, throw blockers, play dirty, throw cuts, do get arounds, find ways to get, whether I'm playing against an opponent who throws blockers and I just want a bag to get around in shot shape, or I'm playing someone who likes to run bags and I want a bag where I can throw blockers wherever I want. That's how I want to play herringbone. But this alpha really, because it doesn't have that shot shaping capability and it isn't as great at grabbing the hole, we don't have that forgiveness. It's really a bag I think best suited for just running the hole. For someone who likes to just throw bags in the middle and just slide it in, you've got a fairly flat bag. Maybe it's not the flattest, but you got a fairly flat bag and you just want to run bags in the hole. That's where I think you're going to shine here. My issue is I think there are better bags out there for doing it. That's kind of what you're taking away what the herringbone does by just running bags in the hole. And you can put blockers up there, right? You've got the ability to throw a blocker up there. You can definitely do that. And collectability is great. If you're putting a blocker in the middle, you can collect it and take it in. The problem is if you get a blocker more over on your opponent's side, it's really hard to go throw a cut and grab it and pull it back. I found that if I did that, what happens is I usually this bag didn't cut my throw bag, it just hit, it went straight and bullied that bag even further out of the way, and sometimes would leave both bags off to the side. So it's not a bag that's great for going after bags that you put outside the line. So if you're going to throw blockers, you got to keep them on your side or down the middle so that you just know when you go to collect, you don't have to go crazy. You can just come down the middle and take it in. The fast side is plenty fast for collecting bags, so you can definitely push through and collect them or push your multiple bags. If you throw you in like a level 3 blocker, enough speed to hit and ride the bag all the way up. So as far as throwing blockers, you can do that. You just can't get wrestling with them. You do have the ability to collect them. For me, it's probably not my favorite bag. Honestly, again, every company has a herringbone bag out there. I love throwing herringbone. If I was going to pull herringbone out, this is not at the top of my list. It's probably down near the bottom just because it doesn't fit the way that I want to play herringbone. Is it a bad bag? No, I don't think it's a bad bag. Like if I went to a blind draw and you were my partner and you pulled these out and you wanted to throw these, I'd be fine. I would probably offer up a different bag, maybe initially with a herringbone style to it, but if you're insistent on throwing these, I wouldn't have a problem. I could throw them. It's not going to play to the strengths of my game. I'm not going to play my best game with them, but I could get around with them. I could play them and enjoy them. And again, if hand feel is important to you, you're going to love the way this bag feels. So if that's the most important thing, check out the alphas. But if you want playability, I think there are better options. Leads me to availability on these. WTF has a website, WTFcornhole.com. Now the pricing, I love the price that WTF uses. These are $75 for a set, which is a great price for an ACL stamp bag. It was just under $9, $8.95 shipping, so it's only $9 shipping. So just under $84 shipped to you. I think $83.95 shipped to you. If you want to try them at that price, at $84, it's not like you're spending $150. It's worth trying, and if you don't like them, you can probably go sell them, trade them for something else on Facebook or one of the cornhole groups there, and get your money back or get most of it back. So it's definitely a bag. If you're interested in trying, maybe it's something you're curious about, go get a set. You're not forking over a ton of money for that. If you throw in the alphas, I'd love to hear your feedback, what you like, what you don't like. Maybe you disagree with me. Drop a comment down below. I thank you so much for your support, and I thank you for watching.